I've been playing a lot of games on my Z Fold 3 recently, despite having a lot less time, so I'm going to show you some of my favourite games for the Z Fold 3 that I play on a regular basis to pass the time. And don't worry, if you don't have a folding phone, in my opinion, these are some of the best Android games out there in general. So sit back, relax, and tell me which one is your favourite from this episode. Anyway, first up on our list today is Bad North. Initially, it stood out to me because of its artistic twist, but there is so much more to it than that. Despite it being a relatively violent game, I actually found it quite relaxing. It is a strategy game where the aim is to repel attacking forces and prevent them from damaging your buildings. You can acquire new commanders as you go along, switch your infantry weapons out, and collect special items which give you abilities during the battles. Now, I will admit at first I struggled to get into it, but I gave it a try, and after around the third level, it gets really difficult. I then later realized that your army does not refresh each mission, so as of yet, I don't think I've got past the 8th level or so now. So a very challenging game. You can get Bad North on the Play Store. I think it just costs a couple of pounds, and there will be a link down below. Next up, we've got another quirky game. This one's called Samorost 3. Very creative level design going on here, and this one's more of an exploration, adventure / puzzle game. I'm still playing it currently, but it seems like there is a lot to do. There's tons of different levels to get through and different objects and creatures to interact with. You can also go back on yourself, so the game will keep you occupied for a very long time. I will admit it's a little bit trippy, not gonna lie, but I think it's well worth a download. It took me a very long time to actually work out what was going on. There's so many different hidden paths and things to do, and as you progress you unlock more clues for the next bit. For example, at the beginning I had to carry a bathtub to this guy who started making something for me, and that took me a good 30 minutes to work out because there is nothing to indicate that you can actually pick these objects up. So yeah, you need to use your brain for this one. It is a fantastic game, and it'll probably keep you entertained and frustrated for a good few hours at least. As always, there will be links down below if you want to download this one for yourself. Now, moving away from the fancy artsy-fartsy games for a second now, you've got a bit of a less graphic intensive game, but beautiful nonetheless. This is LineLight. It's a puzzle game that progressively gets more difficult as you go along. This one is just a quick one for passing the time when you're doing a shit, for example. So the aim is you follow the lines and use the switches to be able to continue down the path. It does take a little bit of thinking, as the answer isn't always so obvious at first, and later on in the game you start to encounter your first enemies, if you like. You can't hit these red lights here or you will get sent back. I like how the game gets more intense, and not only do you have to think about things, but you have to think about them fast. A great little pastime if you like your puzzle games. There will be a link to this one down below as always. Now next up, we've probably got my favourite game of the episode. This is Sky, Children of the Light. This one is getting closer to what I'm hoping will be the norm for mobile gaming in the very near future. It's a beautiful 3D adventure game. I suppose you could compare it to the likes of Zelda or even Oceanhorn, which we showed off in our last games video. Anyway, Sky is the kind of game that made me feel like I was actually playing on a console, and the interesting thing about it is that there is a big focus on sound. You even get a message at the start saying that sound is half the experience. And they're not wrong, the sound effects and ambient noise really do relax you, and the game itself has been really well optimized for mobile. I don't want to ruin the game too much for you, so I won't go into too much detail about what goes on, but there's so many different areas and realms to explore, lots of different tasks to complete, and best of all, it's completely free. You can check this one out on the Play Store as always, and there will be a link down below for you. Okay, so next up is Crash Bandicoot on the Run. This one will certainly bring back some memories for some of us. It's not quite the traditional Crash game we've grown to know and love. This game is a little bit more similar to, say, Temple Run, for example, if you do remember that one. Except with this one, you actually have a story mode to it, so you can defeat several different bosses, collect items, and even make weapons for Crash to use against his enemies. What does tie it to the original game though is all the spinning, jumping, and sliding, and there's other elements to the game too, like the fruit that you collect along your way, which does remind you of the original Crash Bandicoot. I found the first level levels to be pretty easy, but it does slowly get more difficult. It's a great pastime, especially if you were a fan of the first original Crash games. And best of all, it is completely free. Great one for the kids in my opinion, but wouldn't blame you for having a go yourself. There will be a link down below. Okay, number 5 is Terraria. Not only is this a popular mobile game now, but alongside their PC version, they have sold over 44 million copies of this game, which is just absolutely sensational. It's a sandbox type game, and much like Minecraft, I guess, you can build, dig, or fight anywhere. There's also tons to do. I believe there's over 400 different enemies to fight and over 5,000 craftable items. To be honest, even the first part of the game is really fun, discovering your different abilities and weapons, the things you can and can't break, and new areas to explore. Personally, I think this is a great game for any Android phone, but the Z Fold 3's larger screen real estate really does make Terraria the perfect game. Check it out using the links down below. Next up, we've got another relaxing game for you. This one is called Pocket Build. Love the punchy colours on this one and the freedom that you get with it. It's a very well optimised game for your mobile, and there is tons to do. It's another sandbox if you like. You need to gather resources to build different structures, and you can even go into 3D mode with your villagers to manually collect things like wood and stone. It's the sort of game that you can just keep coming back to. It's very easy to put down and very easy to pick back up again. And I've seen a lot of great reviews about this. Main reason I picked this as a great Z Fold 3 game though is because it's made a lot easier with the larger screen. I know I say that about a lot of games, but the building mechanics on this are great, but it's quite easy to miss some of the smaller indicators when playing on a smaller screen. Either way though, it's a fantastic game, and best of all, it is completely free. So remember, check it out using the links down below. Next up, if you want to see some more great games to play on your Galaxy Z Fold 3 or Android phone, click the link in the top left corner now. For now though, I've been Alex, this has been Take It Easy, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.